In this video, I'm going to teach you how to handle objections as a high ticket closer. So if you take the information that I'm going to give you in this video, you can easily add 5 to even 10K a month to how much you're making as a high ticket salesperson. So let's get into it. And no one else is going to teach you to handle objections the way I'm going to teach you in this video. So first, we're going to talk about how to handle objections before you even get on the call, and also why the way most people teach you objection handling is wrong. So if you look at any sales training, there's going to be a long list of objection handles, right? What does this mean? When it comes time to close a sale and you say, okay, this is the price, the prospect comes up with an objection like, oh, well, I need to think about it, or I need to talk to my wife first, bullshit like this. And in sales trainings, they're going to give you these generic cookie cutter responses to these objections, which yes, sometimes they do work. But if you do what I'm going to teach you to do, you usually won't get objections in the first place. We will handle them before the call. It's not magic, I promise. Now, why do you want to handle them up front before the call and not at the end of the call? I'm going to teach you how to handle them at the end of the call, but if we can, we want to handle them up front first. And the reason you want to handle them before the call is because straight up, if you're trying to do it at the end of the call, handle their objections at the end of the call, you've just put yourself in a very, very bad position as the salesperson. Almost a begging type position where you are trying to justify to them that, oh no, this is a good idea. Trust me, right? Like, you don't want to be in that position. If someone is giving you an objection at the end of the call and they don't want to buy, they knew way earlier, brother, that they weren't going to buy. They knew the entire call that they were going to tell you no, that they weren't sure about this. So if they already know that, right? And then you come in at the end and you're trying to convince them like, oh no, it's a good idea. It's just a horrible position for you to be in. You are automatically starting as the loser. So you don't want to be there. And also, even if you do end up changing their mind and convincing them to buy, those people are the most likely people to come back and ask for a refund later and change their mind, okay? Because they were already hesitant. It's just a terrible process overall. And it also puts you guys in a like you versus them battle type situation. And again, this is not where we want to be. All of these things are wrong. Now, do objection handles work? Yes, they do. And I'm going to give you the single best objection strategy you will ever need at the end of this video. It's only one strategy and it works for every single objection you've ever had, and no one else is going to teach you this. But how do we handle these objections before the call? Because this is the most important. It's important to understand that in high ticket sales, the online business space, the earlier you can handle an objection with someone, the better. So for example, if the business that you sell for makes really good social media content about their product or about the niche that they're selling to, that content alone is going to handle most of the objections up front. It just is. So in the content, you can address common issues people are going to have, so that when they do eventually get on a sales call, they already had those worries eased in their mind. Those questions have been answered. But again, if you wait all the way till the end of the sales call, right at the second that they have to make a decision about handing you thousands and thousands of dollars, they are going to bail most of the time. It's too much pressure when they have these worries or questions still in their mind. They're going to tell you no. And most importantly, if you are handling the objections up front, the people who are going to give you objections on the call, they won't even get on the call in the first place. So you see what I'm saying? Like, you only end up with calls with highly qualified people who are ready to buy when you do things like this. So this is why you handle them early. So let's go over the best places that you can specifically do this. As I already mentioned, the earliest you can do it is in the social media content. That is about the earliest that you can handle them right up front. This also goes for paid advertisements. You can handle them there as well. It's the same touch point. Basically, those places are the earliest you can do it. Next, you can handle them in any kind of free stuff that the business is going to give out to their audience. So that could be some kind of Google document, a free course, anything like that. You can handle a bunch of common objections in that information that you're giving to them for free. And after that, it's going to be in the sales funnel. So let's say someone DMs the business on Instagram. The appointment setter can screen them for common issues and objections up front they may have before he decides to schedule a call for them. Or if the business is driving all of their leads to like a VSL or a webinar in that long form video, they can also handle objections there. So this is still considered the sales funnel, right? So that's a great place to do it, because in a VSL or a webinar, you have their attention for like 30 minutes, right? Sometimes even longer than that. So you can cover a lot of information there. And if any of this stuff sounds too complicated for some of you, you've never heard of this stuff, don't worry. You don't need a rocket scientist level understanding of this stuff as a new salesperson, just a basic understanding of what I'm talking about. Now, some of you are probably thinking, well, don't all online businesses do this stuff? Don't they all handle objections in their content and in their free stuff? No, they don't. So one, why is that? Well, one, because there's many online businesses that are garbage. Most online businesses are run like trash, okay? And the second reason is it doesn't really matter what you do. There's always going to be some people who are going to have objections. So the business owner can handle all this stuff in the content or in the free stuff, and there's still going to be people who are going to schedule calls with you who are going to have objections. You can't be 100% perfect, right? Now, the next place you can handle objections before the call is going to be in some kind of like pre-call sales asset. So now we're getting very technical. So when someone schedules a call, you can send them like a short video, 5 minutes or less, a very short document, 1 page, that basically just goes over your product and what it does, and just gives them a little bit more detailed information about what you do and about what the product is. And then the last place to handle objections really is on the sales call, but caveat, it's before the close. So before you say the price and before you've asked them for money. Why is this? In high ticket sales, the sales calls generally are about you having a conversation with someone and getting to know them, as opposed to being some forceful type of sales call, which is most other sales. So the majority of your conversation with someone is not a pitch. It's not a sales pitch. You're just talking to them like you would talk to anybody on the street. When you are talking to someone like this, it is much easier to ease their worries, to ease their fears, than it is if you're trying to like be forceful with them and pitch them and all this other stuff. So after you've made the pitch and you're like, hey, it's $5,000, what do you want to do? Now in their mind, things have become serious, right? Like once you ask for money, now it gets serious, all right? Whereas before it was just a casual conversation. So before that, they're much more open to listening and thinking normally. So what you want to do in your sales calls is make sure that I know it's going to sound corny, but treat them like they are the only thing that exists in the entire world. A big problem with a lot of salespeople is they just don't fucking pay attention, right? You need to only pay attention to this person for the entire call. It should be the most important for this 30 minutes to 45 minutes, however long the call is. They need to be the most important thing in the world to you, because if they're not, you're going to miss a lot of subtle things. I've been in sales a long time. I'm telling you that this shit is real. This shit works, okay? And you need to find out by doing that, by paying really close attention to them, you need to find out why they really got on this call, all right? What is the reason that they thought this product or service was for them, was going to solve their problem, or is what they needed? And what is the pain or problem that drove them to get on this call in the first place? That is the most important thing. All of those things I just said, inexperienced salespeople don't get any of that shit because they're not good at paying attention. They're just following the script. They're like, yeah, okay, it's $4,000, and they wonder why they suck. Experienced salespeople are looking for these things, and they're paying the fuck attention to the person, to every word the prospect is saying. They're trying to read them the whole call. So the punchline is people get on sales calls because they want a solution to a real problem that they are having. That is why they show up to sales calls. You think they just do it for fun or some shit? Come on. Sure, you're going to get like waste of time tire kickers, but that's not what we're talking about. We are talking about genuine good fits for your product, and they're just on the fence because they do not have all the information that they need to make a decision. That is who we're talking about in this video. And these people have a problem, and they're just hoping that your product or service is going to be the answer. It's going to be the solution. So just make sure that you do everything I just said. Make sure your sales call process is really dialed in. You really take an interest in them and you listen to them really well and figure out what motivated them to get on this call, and then just speak to that. If you do all that shit I just said, you will be blown away at how many less objections you get. When you take the call seriously and you pay attention to them and you run a good call, most objections will get handled right fucking there. Don't believe me? Try it. Now, I'm not going to go over specific objection handles in this video. Like we talked about at the beginning of the video, you can get a list of those, right? Like in most sales trainings, you can get lists of the most common dorky objection handles that people are going to give on calls, and then you can come up with all these witty, amazing responses to them, if that's what you want to do. But I'm not going to do that. And some examples of that, if you don't know what I'm talking about, people will be like, what's a common one? Oh, I need to talk to my wife or something, right? And the objection handle is to say like, oh, you're supposed to make them feel bad for not being able to make a decision on their own, or lead them to realizing that they wanted to make this decision no matter what their spouse says. Just like stupid, like tactical shit like this that does not work. This is not good, right? If you want those types of objection handles, you can find them online, and you can take those to your local used car lot where they probably work the best. But I'm going to give you a simple strategy that I use for any objection, all right? And this will probably triple the amount of sales that you make every month. I'm dead serious. I give this to closers, they implement it, and they easily start making twice the sales every month, literally. So this isn't theory, this shit works. And after working with tons of salespeople, the number one problem that I see with pretty much all of them is that when they get an objection, at the end of the call, they just crumble immediately, right? So to drive home what I'm saying, or to give you an example of what I'm saying, think about it. What do you personally do when you get put into an uncomfortable situation? You crumble, you're out. You don't like confrontation. That's most people. Or what do you do when someone tells you no? Right? Like someone directly tells you no. You crumble. You accept it immediately. You say, okay, and you get out of the situation as fast as you can because you don't like confrontation. Again. So salespeople will get a no on a call and be like, no, I'm not interested, whatever. And then they just say, okay, great, no problem. Thanks for your time. Goodbye. This is wrong. This is very wrong. You need to stop doing this. The best, most efficient salespeople that I've ever seen, including myself, they have disassociated from the word no, and they just keep people on the phone much longer than inexperienced salespeople. So they know how to keep people on the phone and keep them talking, and they also know that the no usually doesn't mean no. And they know how to sit in that uncomfortability, and they just know how to be comfortable there in that uncomfortableness. So when I get the first no or the first objection, I'm like, okay, now the call has started. Now we're doing this. All this stuff before was just nonsense. They give me the first no, the call has begun. And now you're probably thinking, what the fuck is this? You said you were going to give me some ultimate sales sauce. This is it. This is what works if you want to make way more money, because in reality, this is what is actually working. If I put you on a sales call right now, you can't even do this shit. I'll have someone give you the first no and you'll tuck your tail between your legs and get off the phone immediately. So listen to someone that knows what they're talking about. I can sit on the phone and have someone tell me no 25 times in a row and my heart doesn't like change a beat. It stays the same. I can keep someone on the phone for 3 fucking hours because I have disassociated from the word no, and I know that there's a lot more going on behind that no that they're giving me. And you might think this sounds dumb, right? But this is what actual experienced salespeople do. Because you have been psyoped, right? You've been psyoped into believing that you need to learn all these complicated sales techniques and take all these sales trainings, and that's what's going to make you good at sales. Like, it's always more complicated, right? Well, if I'm not good, I need to learn more like advanced stuff. That is false. That is wrong. That is the complete opposite of what you need to do. All you need to understand is what works. It doesn't matter if it's simple or if it's advanced. You just need to understand what works. And this is what works. This is what people making 30, 40K a month as a closer are doing. Now, let's go over what keep them on the phone and keep them talking actually means. So when I get the first no, or when a salesperson gets the first no, they just aren't phased. Like I already kind of mentioned, they say, okay, no problem. So they validate that person's no. They say, oh, okay, no problem. I understand, something like that. And then they ask them a question, a follow-up question to get more information about why they said no. So something like, hey, John, totally get it. Why da-da-da-da-da, right? So you accept their no, and then you follow up with a simple question, like to get more information about that. And then you just keep doing that. You just keep asking them questions and getting them to give you more information and getting them to keep talking and open up to you more, all all right? And then they just eventually walk themselves to the sale, right? The most experienced salespeople, they let the prospect walk themselves to the sale and make the decision on their own. I'm not trying to convince them of anything, all right? Even if this takes like another hour, like I said before, and this is an insane skill that you can only learn through reps. Like, it's hard to explain. I'm not trying to convince them of anything. I'm just keeping them on the phone. I'm just keeping them talking. I'm just continuing to ask them questions in a nice, polite way, getting more information from them, right? I cannot get, and they eventually walk themselves to the sale. I eventually lead them to seeing how they wanted to make this decision the entire time because they got on the call in the first place. So I already know that they want to buy, right? They're just having some hesitancy because they do not have enough information. So I just keep them talking, keep them opening up more and more, and eventually they give me the information that I need to point out to them why they wanted to buy this the whole time, and they walk themselves to the sale. That's how it happens every single time, right? And all of this is up here. Like, you can only get this through repetitions, but I'm telling you, like, you don't need objection handles. You need to grow a nutsack and stay on the phone longer. Okay, and get into more of these situations where somebody gives you a no and you just keep asking them questions. And you need to do that hundreds, thousands of times. And then it will be so second nature to you that it will be crazy. I can't even explain it. But these basic like objection handles that all these sales trainers are giving you in these trainings are complete bullshit. No one making a lot of money is doing those. That's retarded. No one's doing that. They're doing what I'm talking about right now. So experienced reps do not accept no, and they calmly keep people on the phone by asking them open-ended questions related to the objections that they were just giving. So for example, I'll give you another one. Let's say they say, I need to think about it. The salesperson says back, okay, no problem. What specifically did you need to think about, right? Was there some information that I could give you or that you didn't get earlier in the call? And then when they reply, you just respond with another question. And then you slowly get them to open up more and more and more and explain more about what's actually holding them back. Because they're not going to give you that real information right away. You've got to dig. You've got to pry. And if you let them off the phone at the first no, you'll never know where this could have gone. You'll never know if they would have bought or not because you crumbled immediately. You ran away immediately. You cowered immediately. They wouldn't have gotten off the call in the first place if they didn't want to buy, okay? So or gotten onto the call if they didn't want to buy. You always need to keep that in the back of your mind. Like, they want to buy. They showed up to the call. So you need to lead them to being comfortable to do so. And you do that by asking them questions and getting more information about what's holding them back and resolving that with them. This is not a battle, okay? You are on the same team. And the more genuine information that you can get from them, the easier it's going to be to ease their worries or ease their fears and just walk them to the sale on their own. The point is that most people just give up too easily. They do this with sales, they do this with girls, they do this with business, they do this with life, they do this with everything. If a prospect is a good fit, there is a part of them that wants to buy this product from you, 100%, or they would not have showed up to this call. But they have some worries or some fears that you, as the salesperson, did not handle properly during the call or were not handled up front like we talked about at the beginning of the video. And this prospect is allowing that to keep them from going through with buying. That is almost the situation 100% of the time. So if you need to rewind that 30 seconds or so and go over it, do it again because that is fucking sales, right? If you need to just keep them on the phone and just keep them talking, you can lead them to work through that stuff, right? Work through those issues on their own, and they're eventually going to buy. I promise they will make the decision on their own. You do not have to do anything else but keep them talking and get them to open up more and more. And most people don't do this, like I said, because they cannot handle the word no. They cannot handle any confrontation at all. They fold, they crumble, they exit the scene as fast as possible. Like, this is completely wrong. They are not telling you no because they don't want to buy. They are telling you no because they don't have enough information to make a decision. That is why. That is the punchline. So this stuff I am dropping on you is elite sales game that 99% of salespeople are not even aware of, and they wonder why they suck at it. So disassociate with the word no, stay calm, stay polite, keep them on the phone, keep asking them questions, and keep them talking. Until you have seen this in action, it may not be clicking with you in a video. This may sound too simple, but this is sales. This is what the best salespeople I know, including myself, do. They can handle the uncomfortableness. They can stay on a call, and they can keep someone on a call because they know this person is a good fit for the product. They know they want to buy because they got on the call and you found out all their problems. So you know that they want it and that it's going to help them. So why wouldn't you sell it to them? Why wouldn't you try as hard as you can to sell someone something you know is going to genuinely help them? Just remember that people get on calls for a reason. They are looking for solutions and they have some level of interest in buying. And it's your job as a salesperson to give them enough information and show them why your product or service is going to solve their problems. They don't fucking know. They don't know anything. They just showed up to the call. You are the salesperson. You have to do all this stuff, okay? This is all your responsibility. So this is how you handle objections up front. And the right way to handle them on a call if you actually want to get good at sales and actually make a lot of money. So I hope it helped you. That's the end of the video. If you want my help getting a closer role or a setter role, hit the links in the description and schedule a call with me so that we can meet each other and we can see if you'd be a good fit. Until next time.